My next guest has got a well-deserved opportunity coming up here at UFC 307, October 5th, going to be taking on the legend, Jose Aldo. It is Mario Bautista back here on the program. Mario, how are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Were you surprised to get this opponent? Not everyone gets an opportunity to fight a legend like Aldo. Was this something you were expecting, or take me through how this all came together?
I was a little surprised, because I was like really, kind of hunting for like that Rob Font fight, that's just, just trying to be vocal about something, kind of put something out there. And it wasn't happening, I fought in January, so it's been a while. So I kind of gave up hope on that. At that point, I was just like, just give me whoever, like whoever you send me, I'm going to say yes to, even if it was to be someone out of the top 15, because, I just need to fight. And so, but luckily, they gave me that fight, and I was super pumped for it, super excited. I just feel like I got a good retry or redemption since my last fight, or before Ricky with Cody Garbrandt. That fell through. So now I have another opportunity.
Who's the first person you told about the news? Because again, this is a mega fight. Like I said, not everyone gets to fight a guy like Aldo. Like, it was pretty big news, I'm sure, when you found out.
Who's the first person? I'm not sure. I was at the gym. I was actually watching one of my training partners spar, and it was their third round, and they had a fight coming up. And I'm supposed to be like a coach. Like, I'm watching, and then my phone's going off, and it's my manager, and he rarely calls me in the middle of the day. I'm like, I gotta take this. Went out there. Jason House told me, and I just went back in there, kind of mentioned it to like some of my teammates. So that's probably the first people I told.
And the weird thing is too, Kyler's fighting Rob Font. So, I mean, it kind of all worked out. Like, someone from the lab is going to be fighting Rob Font, right? So it kind of all worked out.
Yeah. Someone got it. And luckily it was Kyler.
Like I mentioned, Aldo's got that notoriety. He's a former champion. Like, I mean, I would assume, or maybe you don't, I'm curious to get your opinion on this. Do you not think a win over Aldo is a little bit bigger just because Aldo is Aldo?
Oh, yeah. No. Definitely a win over Aldo is better than Rob Font. It's a tougher fight too.
Mm-hmm.
But, everything that Aldo's done through this sport, and he's still, trying to do it, win over him definitely shoots me up there and puts a little bit more shine on me.
And you mentioned being surprised by getting the matchup. Were you also surprised that Aldo's continuing like a UFC run? Because I think the thought was when he came back to fight in Brazil at UFC 301, he was kind of doing the UFC a favor. They needed to bump up that card a bit. And it seemed like it was just going to be a one-off and maybe go back to boxing. Did that part surprise you too? Or did you think after that last win over Martinez that he was going to come back and try and make a run to the title?
I wasn't sure. I didn't know what he was going to be doing in the division. Honestly, I didn't even know he retired that night or that he was going to be, boxing or what the deal was. I thought he was just, taking his time between fights. So, I wasn't really watching Aldo too much. But no, it doesn't surprise me. He took on a young guy like Jonathan Martinez, and now we're fighting him. So.
Yeah, no, it's good. And do you feel, I mean, this is something we've talked about for a while with your career. I mean, you've racked up some really good wins. You've kind of flown under the radar a bit in terms of, you've been picking up these wins, but maybe, you almost had the Garbrandt fight, like you mentioned. Now you get Aldo. Do you finally feel like, maybe the fans and even the UFC to a certain degree is giving you that respect of giving you this opportunity, that they're recognizing that, hey, you've been putting the work in and putting together some really good wins?
Yeah, no, definitely getting the recognition. Hopefully from the UFC, the fans, from the casual fans, I really don't care about that, but the UFC, well, I have the second most, straight wins behind Marab. So it's nice that they're seeing that, and they actually gave me that opportunity because, it's Aldo. He could have went a whole different route and saying, no, I'm not going to fight these young guys. I'm going to fight someone like Dominic Cruz. I'm going to fight a Henry Cejudo, those opportunities. So for me to get this fight, I'm super excited about it.
And you mentioned Dominic Cruz. I'm curious your thoughts on this, because I have this theory, and let me know what you think of this, that if you have not fought for at least a year, regardless of the circumstances, you should be out of the rankings. Do you agree with that, or do you think Cruz, because of everything he's done in his career, should still remain in the rankings? What's your take on that?
That's so funny that you say that, because I think I was talking about that just recently. I agree. I think there has to be a certain time period, a year and a half, at least. I think a year and a half. If you haven't fought since then, you should slowly start moving out of the rankings. The rankings always get shuffled, and the people that are inactive should kind of slide up, and kind of fall out of there if they're not fighting. So
Yeah, and to be clear, I want to reward activity. I think if someone's willing to fight a couple times a year and taking those risks, they should be rewarded for that, as opposed to someone who's not fighting. And again, there's all types of reasons why someone hasn't fought, but even like a Michael Chandler, like I don't think it's fair to other lightweight fighters that have been trying to work their way up, that he's still ranked high in that division. I think you should remember where you were in the rankings, and then when you come back, keep that in mind if you win or lose in your return fight. But I just think it holds up the division. That's just my thoughts on it. But what do I know? I'm just a guy here talking on a camera. But training camp for this fight, anything different? Do you bring in guys or work with certain guys to kind of mimic Aldo, or do you just focus on what you're good at and bring that to the table?
No. We definitely try to mimic Aldo, and then just apply, the different tool sets that I have to get that job done. It's a complete difference from my last fight, where I'm fighting Ricky Simone, a grappler, and I'm trying to avoid the wrestling, and now we're going to the different side of the spectrum here, and fighting a striker, I might need to take him down, so it's just figuring out the tools that I have and trying to apply it to this challenge.
Who are some of the main training partners that you've been working with? Obviously we have some time before the fight, but who are you mainly working with?
Yeah, I think we're going to start, have Marcus McGee.
Nice.
Who else do we got? We got a buddy of mine from England, just is becoming an American citizen, Jack Eaglin, who's a great striker. So he's going to be helping us out. And there was someone else. But yeah, we have a ton of good guys at our gym that can kind of mimic what Aldo does and the game plan that Aldo's going to have. So I'm in good hands.
And I got to ask about this because obviously his fight's coming up. Sean O'Malley, big title defense against Merab. I know you're nothing like Merab, so you're probably not working with him, but have you seen O'Malley at all? Have you seen him since the fight was announced? And if so, any update on him? Because obviously we're excited for that one.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen Sean. I haven't seen Sean in a while, actually. I think he's starting to do all his camps out of his own gym now. And some of our guys will go over there and help him out, that kind of bounce between, our gym and his. But I haven't seen him since then. So, but knowing that camp and his team, they're coming up with something good, and they got a good game plan, and they always do the right thing.
When does the weight cut start for you? I know as you get older, listen, I can relate, Mario. I'm getting older too. It's harder to keep the weight off. Does the weight cut change a bit? Is it tougher, or is it about the same as it's always been? Because I know also fighters get more like sophisticated in their weight cuts, maybe than earlier in their career. They're sort of, more intelligent about it.
I start watching my weight throughout camp. I like to be at a certain weight throughout the whole camp, and that's what I want to get back to after weigh-ins, and I like to train at the weight that I'm going to fight at. That way it's not such a big difference, come fight weekend and at the actual fight. So I'm always good about my diet, and the actual hard cut doesn't start until my last hard sparring. So I like to be energized for my last hard sparring. And then after then I'll go into my keto diet, get the fat off, and then the rest of water. So that's just the way I've been doing for a while.
And again, this is why I'm doing this as a job, and I'm not like a scientist, but like I know there's elevation in Utah. There's a bit of elevation in Arizona as well. Is there anything you can do for that? I know some guys wear like the spacesuit or whatever to get acclimatized or all that. Are you doing any of that ahead of this fight?
Yeah, actually, Iridium, my management team, they actually hooked me up with an elevation tent.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, just been using that. And the studies behind that is just it pumps less oxygen into the tent, so you can get more red blood cells that carry more oxygen, and that kind of simulates the elevation there. So I'm starting that now, and we still got 5 weeks till the fight. So
good stuff.
We're doing everything we can, all those little things here and there. So just trying to get every advantage I can.
Your corner, John Crouch. Who else is going to be in the cage with you?
It's going to be John Crouch, Yadi Mesa, who's been in my corner for the last 6-7 fights. And it's going to be Randy Steinke. So
nice.
David Bulldog, he's out in South Dakota. He's doing his own thing. He has his own business and stuff. And
oh, nice.
Like I said, he's in South Dakota. So I'm not really with him like full time. He's still giving me advice here and there, but I'll be going with those guys this time.
Jose Aldo is pretty tough to finish. How do you see this one playing out on October 5th? How do you see it going down?
I just see it being a high-paced fight, and just like you said, he's hard to finish, but I think he can crack mentally. So all those losses he's had recently, those guys put a high pace on him, and that's something I gotta emulate.
Now, with this fight, are you still on the same contract? I was wondering, because obviously it's a big name, big fight. Or do you have a couple more fights in your deal, I would imagine?
No, they renewed it for this fight.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they gave me a 5-fight contract for this.
Five fights. Awesome. That's great, man.
Yeah. So it's good stuff, and that's what we were thinking since we're fighting Aldo. Hopefully they're going to renew it, because I think I was on a 4-fight one. This last one, I did 2. So they renewed it for me.
And we sort of, kind of rewinding a little bit here, I talked about getting the respect from the promotion. I mean, getting a new contract like this has got to sort of be a sign that, hey, they want you to stick around and they like what you're doing.
Yeah, I like it. They set me on a contract, and, now it's just a matter of they gave me a big fight. So now, in my perspective, it's like, if I want to raise, I'm really going to have to start putting myself out there, making, a name for myself. And, we'll see when the next raise comes.
And not to put a damper on this fight, because obviously, you beat Aldo, there's big things ahead, but I mentioned Kyler fighting Rob Font. I know we talk about this every couple of interviews, but we're almost getting to that point where, there's going to be some tough conversations there. I'm sure that's something that you and Kyler and Sean have even sort of talked about a bit.
Yeah, we're getting there. What it was like, we'd all be in the top 15, top 10. Now we're getting a little bit closer. And I was just talking about this recently, but, I really wouldn't start putting a lot of thought into it unless we all end up in the top 5, almost to we're in a position where we're forced to do it, because there's plenty of people out there. But I think once the time comes, we'll figure it out. For me, if anything ever happens, I love those guys, and it's going to be all love afterwards. We fight in the gym every Saturday, every Wednesday. So at the very least, we'll get paid for it this time.
Yeah, and at the very least, the way O'Malley keeps going, he's talking about fighting Topuria, so maybe he goes up a weight class. I mean, it could all work out, right? So we'll sort of see what happens there. What did you make of one of the guys who's making some noise in your division, Umar Nurmagomedov? I'm sure you saw the fight with Cory Sandhagen. What did you think about his performance in that fight?
He looked good. He looked good. He was a lot tougher. He dealt with Sandhagen very well. But I think Sandhagen kind of showed not holes in his game, but it's not the Khabib dominance that we're all used to. Cory was able to get up pretty quickly, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes, and if there's a future matchup with that.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting see where he goes. I imagine he's getting the winner. Do you think he's gonna get the winner of O'Malley and Merab? I sort of think that's where they're headed with beating Cory like that, right?
Oh, I believe so. If he was able to jump that far in the rankings to fight Cory and get a win over him, then yeah, I think they're gonna for sure give him that opportunity.
Does that bother you at all, just in the sense of obviously it's a business and there's entertainment and he has that last name as well, but does it kind of bother you, a guy that's racked up a number of wins? I think you fought ranked guys before, that he's sort of not, I mean, he's kind of cut in line a little bit, right? Is that something as a fellow bantamweight that annoys you, or you just chalk it up to just business?
It annoys me a little bit, but then he did beat Cory Sandhagen, so yeah. I guess he is deserving of that spot, but yeah, it's just a little bit of jumping the line. Maybe if he had one more fight in between there, somewhere in the rankings, I would have been fine. But he got the job done, so hats off to him.
What did you think of Dricus du Plessis' performance over Israel Adesanya? I don't know if you caught it a few weeks ago, submitting Adesanya, first guy to do it.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. Adesanya was starting to do well. It looked like it was going his way the rest of the fight, and just little mistakes and little things. And du Plessis, he's just physical, and like what they were saying, he's just a dog, he just kept it up and got the finish.
You think Conor McGregor fights again?
I don't know. I don't even want to bet on that, I'm not sure. I hope he does. I like watching him compete, and against if it was against Chandler, that'd be an awesome fight. So I don't know, hopefully we see him soon.
Do you think Jon Jones fights again?
I think one more. I think he fights one more time, at least.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I think so. And before we go, what's interesting in the States, I know the kids start school in August. In Canada, we start next week. So we're starting in September. How's all that been, getting back into the routine of, dad life outside of summer?
It's been pretty good. She's in kindergarten now, so it's full day for her. Last year it was 8:30 to 2:30, and now it's 8 to 3. So we're liking it, and it's full week. Last year was just Tuesdays, Thursdays.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay. We
yeah,
have here where I live in Canada, we do daycare. Like I have a 2.5-year-old, and he's there 5 days a week, and he's there from I think 8 until 4:30. It's great.
Oh wow. Yeah. No,
So we got it covered. I imagine that's a lot of driving, although you only have one kid. I have two, so it's a little bit difficult, but you make it work, right? So
yeah, we've got it all figured out. And then my wife just recently quit her job, and so now she's kind of staying home, and she's able to take care of all that.
nice.
Because scheduling wise, I'm headed to the gym at 2:30, and I wouldn't be able, and class starts at 3. She gets off at 3. So it's just been, such a blessing, like her able to help out. And then we kind of got it all figured out for now. So we're doing good.
Is she in any sports? Or are you going to put her in anything?
My daughter?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Her and my wife, they're starting to go to jiu-jitsu after school. So they've been
cool.
doing jiu-jitsu. My daughter does jiu-jitsu and kickboxing, whatever she's feeling up for the day. So I try not to force anything on her, but those are the two.
Good stuff. Yeah, just see what they like and then sort of run with it. I had my kid in jiu-jitsu for a bit, but then we realized, like, I'm Canadian, he has to do hockey just to see if he likes it. So you can't do both. It's too difficult. So hockey won in the end, and so he's doing that. We'll see if that lasts another season. But Mario, thanks for doing this, man. Again, congrats on getting this opportunity. We're looking forward to it. It's UFC 307, October 5th. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
I just want to thank my gym, Iridium Sports Agency. And then just want to thank you for doing this interview too.